Konami Studios.
We only find them when they're dead. Issue 2. So I really enjoyed the first issue of this. It did surprisingly well on my channel. I guess a lot of people were excited about this book like I was. And the second issue, I was very curious to see where they were going to go. This idea came into play in issue 1 about finding a live god. Now I can say we don't find that in this issue, but we do set it up more that we're going to be looking for one. And I think that's kind of a cool idea. This issue is part flashback and part present day. And in the present day stuff, there's not that much to talk about, surprisingly. This was a pretty simple issue, actually. It kind of just gave us some backstory for the characters and their dynamics and what our captain is thinking, while giving us another mission where we are harvesting a different god this time, and some things go awry that lead our crew onto a different path. So, in the present day, like I said, they are harvesting some stuff. This time they're deciding we're just going to go for like the forehead, just basic skin, so they can get some meat and nourishment. And as that's going on, there is kind of like a setup by one of the crews, and one of these crews sets it up that they steal the heart of this god. So then Richter goes after them, but they kind of like forge the numbers a little bit, where they say, oh, it's actually the Han 2 that took the heart. So now they kind of have to flee the system, and they just kind of like light speed out of there. I think they called it warping. Everyone's got their own term for it. You know, warp speed, light speed. They warp out of there. They're flying away, but Paula is still on their trail trying to figure out who they are. Well, not who they... Paula is still on their trail. She's chasing them through warp speed. They're coming out of it, and you just feel this different tension. There's like this whole idea, right, about like the ships have ears, so everybody can hear what everybody is saying, so you probably shouldn't do much, and the captain keeps telling this crew, you know, not to say anything, and as they're warping out, you just kind of starts to get out of range, and they can't really hear Paul anymore, and there's just some interesting stuff happening there. It's fun, you know? It takes up a big part of the book where we just see, again, like we saw in the first issue, they're harvesting the god. Like, we know that's what they're doing, so they're taking the skin, they're cutting into chunks, they're putting it on the ship. We're just having our crew doing stuff while we're listening to everything else the other crews are doing, the stuff with the heart, the way people are picking spots and positions. We've seen that before, and it's still fun. I still think it's a very fascinating idea. I like that we're exploring more of this world and could potentially be going into different areas. But then we get some flashbacks in this one where we go to, well, it goes to 2 spots. It goes to a year before where they are now, and it goes to way in the past. And it's just kind of, we're getting a feel of our crew now. We're figuring out who is who in the crew. Of course, we got Captain George's, and he is in a relationship, a semi-relationship. They didn't really specify if it's like, oh, they're technically dating or if they are together. But he is, we see him in an intimate moment with Jason, which I don't want to say it came as a shock to me, just because it shouldn't come as a shock to me to see our captain is that kind of man, but just, I wasn't expecting it. But then again, when I think back to a lot of Al Ewing's writing, I should have expected it coming. Not to say that he has tropes or like things he does, but he definitely always has a character who is a homosexual, and I think that's fine. I like it. I just wasn't expecting it. I honestly thought it was going to be Jason and somebody else, and having it be our captain, that's cool. I like it. Those two share an intimate moment where they're talking about the idea of going to find like an actual god that's still alive, and like, that's kind of how Jason chooses to be aboard this mission, because he wants to find that new excitement, do these new things. And we learn that Elle is his sister, and Elle's kind of like, this is dumb. I don't know why you want to work with this madman and do stuff with him. He hasn't really done anything right. Like, have you met him? He seems like a crazy dude. And it's just kind of like, I raised you, I helped you become the man you are, Jason. You shouldn't work with him. And if you are, sadly, I don't want you to, but I'm going to come with you. So then Elle comes aboard, and we just see that's the dynamic. I think that's kind of cool. And we also learn that Alice and George's have a history. They've known each other a long time. We learn a little bit that all of his family was executed for something gone wrong. We don't really know what happened there, but because he had food poisoning, George's wasn't aboard the ship when all that happened. So then he's just talking to Alice. That was like 30 years ago, and it's just nice to see that dynamic. I thought that was pretty cool. It's still, he's got to be in his 50s now, I think, 50s or 40s, George is, and everyone else is younger. I mean, it's weird to say just because Alice is probably around the same age as him, but the way she's drawn, she looks younger than him, so good for her for staying that young, I guess. Like, that's kind of cool, kind of impressive. I think my favorite part of this book, though, did come at the beginning. Just like the first couple of pages where we're just hearing that Georges wants them to turn off the radio silent, go radio silent for a bit, just so we can have a heart-to-heart with them and just say, like, why do we only find them when they're dead? Why is that enough for us? Don't we want to know why they're alive? Why they're dying? Because if a god's dying, shouldn't that scare us a little bit? That was a really cool moment. Look, they said the title of the book in here. How can I be mad at that? That's awesome. That's really funny. It's just a fun book. And back in the present day, as our people run away, we do end the book seeing that there is something a little wrong in Paula's eyes. We don't know what it is, but something about her is just a little off, and you could tell that George is starting to sense something's wrong with her. So we'll have to be seeing what's going to happen there. It's a fun book. I've always thought that. The first issue, I think, was very good. The artwork is still clean, very crisp, very gorgeous, very anime-inspired, very classic looking. It's very interesting, and a lot of people should check this out. I think it's well worth it. So, we only find them when they're dead. Issue 2, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.